What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are here for some more MTG Arena, but this is not a gameplay video for MTG Arena. Instead, we have some packs. You can see some numbers at the bottom there. There's a lot of them. So we have, 83 packs here, which is a lot of them.
Yeah,
so
I would say so.
We'll probably split this into two videos. We will take our time looking at the Throne of Eldraine ones, and then for these, we can open them 10 at a time, technically. So we'll probably... Let's start with 10 of these first. But yeah, we've been playing a lot of Sealed on the channel for Ikoria. Hopefully you all have seen that, enjoyed that, if that's your thing. And then before that, we were playing some Cube Sealed, and don't worry, because there's a lot of that waiting as well in the wings to be uploaded for all of you to see, because we recorded a lot more of that, and then Ikoria Sealed became available, and we just started going hard on that. So we have a lot more Cube Sealed waiting to show all of you. But for now, like I said, let's open these 10 packs and see what we get. Whew, okay. Well, at least some of these don't say first on them, so that's nice. But yeah, we got another Labyrinth of Scophos.
Okay.
Which is a fine card.
Yeah.
We got another Woe Strider.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Definitely.
We got... I don't think I even have this card in... well, actually, sorry. We have Temple of Abandon. Okay. So it's your Gruul... tap land, but it
looks so cool too.
Yeah, I like that art a lot. And it's a temple, so when it enters tapped, and when it enters you scry one, and then it taps for the two colors that it represents. So in this case, Gruul. I guess if we're sticking with Gruul colors, we can look at the Storm Herald for 3. It is a 3/2 hasty human shaman. And it says, when it enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. If those auras would leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else. So this is basically your play this card, bring all the auras back, put them on all your creatures, and kill your opponent. Yeah. Congratulations, you win.
Yeah.
We have Aphamia the Cacophony, which is 1 and a black for a 2/1 flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment from your graveyard, and if you do, you make a 2/2 black zombie that we see here on the left. So I've seen this card used. I don't know that I've seen it used to great effect, but I've seen it used. But speaking of black enchantment creatures that make you other things by exiling stuff from your graveyard, we have Nightmare Shepherd, 2 black for a 4/4 flying. So that in and of itself, 4 mana 4/4 flying is great. Yeah. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1, and it's a nightmare in addition to its other types.
I love the art on this card, too.
Yeah, it's really good.
Incredible.
Really, really good. Let's look at our 2 non-mythics over here. We have the Wavebreak Hippocamp, 2 and a blue for a 2/2, enchantment creature Horsefish.
Which is dumb.
Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, you draw a card.
Okay. Which
is nice. Obviously, it wants to be in a spells deck. Play lots of instants, things like that, counter spells, etc.
Throw it out.
And a Nessian Boar. I loved this card in Theros Beyond Death Sealed, like for pre-release and stuff. But it is 3 green for a 10/6.
Yeah.
All creatures able to block Nessian Boar do so, and whenever Nessian Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card.
Oh.
So for each creature that blocks it, since they all have to, for each creature that blocks it, they draw that many cards, but you get to swing in with a 10/6, probably kill everything on their board, plus when you attack them with the Nessian Boar, you're almost certainly attacking with everything else as well.
Yeah.
And so all those creatures get to get in.
Yeah.
Then, sticking with green, I guess, when we go to our mythics, we have Nylea, Keen-Eyed. 3 and a green for a 5/6 legendary enchantment creature god. Nylea is indestructible. And Nylea, as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea is not a creature.
Ah.
So you have to have 5 devotion. Now, she comes with 1 for herself, so you need 4 more green pips on the field for her to be a creature. And then creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That's just automatic whether Nylea is a creature or not.
Okay.
And for 2 and a green, you can reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it into your graveyard. So if you look at the top card of your library and you're like, oh, it's a land, and it's turn 6 and I don't need any more land, you just bin it, throw it in the graveyard. Or if it's a creature, you put it into your hand.
Cool.
And it's revealed so your opponent sees it regardless. And a card that I have not seen in paper yet. No matter how much of this set I've opened, I don't think I own this card yet. But this is Klothys, God of Destiny. Amy, It's the Gruul God.
Yeah.
So this is 1 red-green, 3 mana for a 4/5.
Okay.
Now again, it's a god, so it is not a creature as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7. But it combines the 2 colors. So it comes with 2 colors, so you need 5 more red and or green pips.
Oh, okay.
Across all of your stuff to make it a creature. But even if it's not a creature, trust me, it doesn't matter. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, so after your untap, upkeep, draw, is your pre-combat main phase.
Okay.
Exile target card from a graveyard. Can be yours or your opponent's.
Okay.
If the card you exiled was a land card, you add a red mana or a green mana to your mana pool.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, so if it's not a land that you exiled, you gain 2 life, and Klothys deals 2 damage to each opponent.
What?
And that just happens at the beginning of each of your pre-combat main phases.
Each of them?
Of every one of your turns, it happens.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, the card's incredible. And it's indestructible, so have fun getting rid of it. So
Wow.
that's why I said it doesn't really have to be a creature. It kind of doesn't
that
matter.
card is nuts. Why?
Yeah, it's very, very good. So yeah, I like that we have Klothys. That's a great card. And again, it's right above the Temple of Abandon, so that feels nice. Helps makes casting Klothys a little bit easier. Obviously, Storm Herald is not super helpful with Klothys, only because Storm Herald kind of wants to be in the red-white deck. And also, notably, white is a color that is in no way represented by any of these cards that we opened.
Does he want to be in red and white or red and blue? Because he's just raw.
Nice. Yeah, that's a fair point. The interesting from this format, the red-white deck was the Auras deck. That's why. Although usually white-green is the Auras deck, but in this one, it seems like it was red-white. So, yeah. All right, let's go to you want to do 10 Ikoria or 10 more Theros?
10 more Theros.
Do it again. Okay. All right, so we got a mythic wild card and a rare wild card.
Okay.
We have our not firsts, of course, because this card's terrible, is Treacherous Blessing. If I remember correctly, this card's terrible. Let's find out. It's an enchantment for 2 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards.
Okay.
Whenever you cast a spell, you lose a life.
Ugh.
And whenever this enchantment becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it.
Ah.
So basically, it gives you an out. It says, like, if you can target this with something, it dies. So you don't have to lose 1 life every time you cast a spell after you've played it, as long as you have some form of interaction with enchantments in some way.
Okay.
So, yeah. We got a Nyx Lotus.
Yeah.
4 mana for a legendary artifact. It enters tapped, and then we can tap it, choose a color, and add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color.
Ah.
Which is pretty nice. We have 2 mythics up top, but we'll hold off on that. First, we can go to Thrix, the Sudden Storm.
No.
It's 3 blue for a 4/5 flash flyer.
Okay.
And spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered.
Ah.
Which is awesome. I don't love this one, but this I feel like is more for Commander, but I'm willing to be corrected on that. But this is Dalakos, Crafter of Wonders. 1 blue-red for a 2/4 legendary creature, Merfolk Artificer. You can tap it to add colorless, and you spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. And then equipped creatures you control, because obviously it would help with equipments. You can cast equipments with those 2 colorless, or you can equip with those 2 colorless.
That makes sense.
And it says equipped creatures you control have flying and haste.
Whoa.
So if you play a creature and then you equip it, it immediately gains flying and haste, and then you can attack with it, thanks to Dalekos.
Wow.
Idyllic Tutor is 2 and white for a sorcery. Search your library for an enchantment, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. So you just get to tap 3 and go find a copy of your best enchantment into your hand.
That art is so cool. I love that art.
This
so
is
much.
gorgeous. Like, absolutely beautiful.
The shadows and the light on the hand, like that is so cool.
Yeah,
to me.
and the kind of constellations, because it's a god. It's clearly a god, and it says "You are loved, child" is the flavor text. So really cool.
Yeah.
Our last rare that we haven't seen yet is Setessan Champion. This card is incredible. 2 and a green for a 1/3 human warrior with Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. So you just play an enchantment, this gets bigger, and you draw a card for free.
Okay.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Then we opened Elspeth.
Yay!
2 white for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker Elspeth. -1, up to 2 target creatures you control, each get +2/+1 until end of turn.
Okay.
But if you play Elspeth and you don't have any other creatures, you would use her -2, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens that you see here on the right. So you would make 2 of them, which then works really well with her -1 on the next turn, where you can make them into 3/2s.
Yeah.
You can also use her -3, and you gain 5 life.
Whoa.
Now, if you notice, she only has minus abilities,
Yeah.
and she has 5 loyalty. So you can do it in different combinations. You can do like -3 and then -2, or -3 and then -1 and -1.
Right.
And obviously, this is all assuming she doesn't take any damage in between. But
Yeah.
you could do like -2, -2, -1. Any combination of those that'll get you to 5. Or if you're taking damage, if she's taking damage, whatever, you adjust from there. But she does have Escape. 4 white, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and if people don't recall, Escape means that you can play this card from your graveyard for its escape cost.
Right.
And those exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard is part of the cost. So you would tap 6 mana, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and you get Elspeth back.
Right.
Which is not bad. And then we got this fun Nyxbloom Ancient.
He's so cute.
He is very cute, and also very good for Devotion to Green.
Yeah.
Since it's 4 green to play it.
Since he's got so many things growing on him.
He is an enchantment creature elemental. It is a 5/5 for 7 with trample. But the most impressive thing about it, is if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. So if you combine this Nyxbloom Ancient alone with Nyx Lotus, you can tap Nyx Lotus and add, if you choose green, for example, and you have Nyxbloom Ancient out, this says, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. Well, Nyxbloom Ancient has 3 green. So you would be able to add 3 green to your mana pool. But Nyxbloom Ancient says you multiply that by 3. So you would tap Nyx Lotus, choose green, and add a minimum of 9 green mana to your mana pool, and that's if you had no other green pips on the field but Nyxbloom Ancient.
Yeah.
So, very, very cool. I think we'll do one Throne of Eldraine here. Okay, interesting. So we have a common. I'll go through these a little bit faster. We have an Ogre Errant. It's an Ogre Knight, so it's a non-human and a knight, both of which are cared about in this format.
Yeah.
A Paladin, Ardenvale Paladin, which is also a knight, but is a human.
Right.
This is a human noble in Wicked Guardian. This is Cinderella's evil stepmother.
Right.
There's a Maraleaf Rider, which is cool. An Elf Knight, so more knights, which goes in the food deck. You can sack a food and make something block Maraleaf Rider this turn if able. There is Heraldic Banner. You play it, choose a color. Creatures you control the chosen color get +1/+0, and then you can tap it to add a mana of the chosen color.
Yeah.
So it's a mana rock, but it also buffs your creatures. Arcanist's Owl. Look at that awesome art.
He is cool.
4 Azorius hybrid. So any combination of 4 white and or 4 blue.
Okay.
For a 3/3 flyer, when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand, and the rest go on the bottom. So obviously this wants to be in an artifact / enchantment based deck. And our rare or mythic is a Stonecoil Serpent. This is our first? It is. Interesting. X for a 0/0 or a star, reach trample, protection from multicolored. And it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, if that was a surprise to anyone. So, I lied. We'll do one more. And it is... Got a rare wild card, thank you. Common wild card, Queen of Ice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good. Signpost Scarecrow.
He's cute.
And Outmuscle. I love this card.
Yeah.
This card's great. We have a Lash of Thorns. Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it gives Death Touch, which is nice.
Yes.
But basically, because it only gives 1 more toughness, your creature's probably dying in this combat regardless. Belle of the Brawl.
She's good.
3 mana, 3/2 menace. It's a knight, of course. And whenever it attacks, other knights you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Speaking of good, Epic Downfall is 1 and a black for a sorcery. Exile target creature with converted mana cost 3 or greater. Just exile it. Yeah. So those gods that we were talking about, gets rid of those because they're indestructible, but they can be exiled.
Nice.
And our last rare mythic for this video is Bone Crusher Giant. I've seen this used a lot in spells. I don't know the names of the standard decks. I play limited, but this is used very heavily in those in like mono red speed decks, like very, very aggressive decks, because you can tap 2, damage can't be prevented, and you deal 2 damage to any target. So you just kill one of their early blockers, and then for 3 you can play this thing out later on, and it can't be killed with kill spells, or if it does get killed with kill spells, you can then deal 2 damage to that spell's controller. And in the aggressive deck that this is played in, they don't want to be taking extra damage needlessly. No. So this is a very good card.
Okay.
So, thank you all so very much for watching. As I said, obviously, we have more packs to open, so stay tuned for that. But for now, that's going to be the end. I hope you enjoyed. Please let us know your thoughts down below on how well you think we opened, how poorly you think we opened, whether you like this kind of a video different from the gameplay ones, or if you'd rather we just open the packs on our own and not show them off. I figured it'll just be nicer as we kind of open some packs for fun and see what we get and show all of you in the process. So, But for now, from us here at the Geek for All family of channels, I have been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
And please feel free to do all that fun YouTube stuff. We really do appreciate any and all support, liking the videos, subscribing, commenting, ringing the bell, checking out our other channels and series. All of that helps us out immensely, so we really do thank you for that in advance. And, as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.